Today in my tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make a beautiful little feather flower made out of marabou feathers and ostrich, and centered with a little crystal button. Hi, I'm Dorene Vandermeer. I'm a bridal milliner and I'm sharing all my trade secrets with you, and one of them is how to make a beautiful little feather flower. All of your supplies will be in the description below, so why don't we go get started on this feather adventure. So let's start this awesome feather adventure. So what we're going to make is a 3-inch flower. This is it up close. This is a beaded bauble that I make for the center, and if you want to do a beaded bauble like this, I have another tutorial where it's a peonies flower and I use that type of technique. But for this one, we're actually going to center it with a little button, and it's a little crystal button, and I picked this one, just kind of a simple button with a little shank on the back. All right, so I made a template here with the tape. This is quilter's tape, and I cut out some of these felt, little round felts, and basically I just took my beads and I just traced it, and I made a little base for me to start on. I'm going to put that right in the center. This is going to help me to stay in that 3-inch mark. Now, if you wanted to do even bigger, you can. The one in the inspiration photo at the beginning, that was a bigger flower. That is a 6-inch flower, but this one right here is going to be 3 inches. And so what we do is we start with these marabou. You can get them two ways. You can get them strung on a little string like this, or you can get them in a bag. I highly recommend that you get them on a string because it's a lot easier to manage the feathers. When you get them in a bag, it literally is a bag of feathers, and you open it, it's like it just poofs out. It's just awful. So what I do now is I take I kind of look them over, and I take one of the feathers off, and I cut them about where I think I need them, and just snip it off. And then once I have one free, I take the end of my scissors, sort of like how you curl ribbon, you curl your feather. Isn't that great? Here, I'll do one more just to kind of snip it off and curl. And that's what's right there waiting for me. We're also going to add some little ostrich tufts. These are the little curlicues inside of there that just add a fun element to it. And all you do with that is I get damaged ostrich, super cheap, and you can get that at a feather company. There's all kinds online. And then I just take a little cluster of about 3 of them. I snip off the top, put a little dab of glue, and pinch it off. And just like that, you have a tuft. And then just like with your other feather, you're going to curl it. Super easy. All right, and then we're going to make that. So I have a little pile of those there. And now let's start with the base. So I'm going to try to find the bigger ones for the bottom, and I'm going to stay within my 3-inch mark. So I'm going to cut where it's going over. I'm going to go ahead and put a big, nice smear of glue all the way around. Not just the center, I'm also going all the way out to the edge. And I'm going to place that right in the middle. And then just keep doing that all the way around. And then I like to keep this little pile of these. I'm going to be using those at the end. Nothing goes to waste. And that one. All right, so basically we created a little circle. And now what we're going to do is we're going to land the next one, and we're going to not go all the way out. We're going to cut them so that just the tops of those will show. So I'll cut them a little further down. That little template there helps me to stay on the mark. And what's fun is you can add little bits of lace inside of the feather flower. There's so many fun things you can do. I've added illusion petals inside of it. Have fun, experiment. What would you put in yours? I put peacock. Oh, it's very pretty with peacock. I have a giant peacock feather flower that is stunning, and it is just all about the peacock feather. And as you can see, it goes pretty quickly, especially if you have as your cooking term, mise en place ready. All right, so now I'm going to stick a little tuft in there, and I'm going to break this one tuft up. And I'm just going to go ahead and just land it right here, and that will be under the next layer. Our next layer will be another tier down, so you're going to find some really nice ones that curl really good, because this is what's going to be on the top. You'll see this. It won't be hidden. And I'm just using a standard fabric tack glue, which is my favorite glue. I love that glue. It's really easy. It dries fast. It's permanent. You do want to protect your clothes, though. It will ruin your clothes. And so you can see the different tiers building up on itself. And I'm going to put another one over here because I kind of want one so that's seen all the way around. And then let's do one more tier. But feather flowers are great because you can actually dye the marabous really easily. And all you do is get a fabric dye and you do it just like you would fabric. You want to add a little salt to the mix, get it real hot, and then you just dye them. You just dip them in and dip them out, rinse them off, and then dry them. And you can just dry them in the sun. You can dry them overnight, just sitting there. Especially when you're dyeing, keep them on the string. That is the best way to dye because then everything is contained. When you dye feathers that you have cut up, oh, it's a pain, let me tell you. I'm saving you so much time by giving that tip. Now what I'm doing is I'm taking the little bits and pieces that I did here, the ones that have that little fuzziness on it, and now I'm going to tier it so that the center has a little movement in it. And I will curve these as well so that they're not just straight. All right, I think that's good. Little feather flower is born. Now's a good time to kind of go around and adjust and see if anything was off. Looks good. And sometimes what I'll do, because right here feels a little off, like it needs a little bit more of a filler, I'll turn it over and I'll flip this up and then I'll just add another one back there to kind of give it a little bit more of a base. Because now it's time to do it while it's wet. Let's see if that helped. Yep, I filled that up. I show you how to do these little beaded baubles in the tutorial that I have, Peony's Flower Fascinator. And you can just add all kinds of fun color in there. There's purple, there's gold. I love making my own centers. But for this one, I thought it would be fun to do a little button because I already showed you how to do that in the other tutorial. What I do is I put a little hole in the middle. And the reason I do that, it's really simple because it's a shank button. If I just sew it on like this, it'll wiggle all around. But by creating a hole there, that sinks it all down inside of there and makes it a part of it. Isn't that lovely? And the way that I put a shank on is kind of unique. So you're going to get some invisible thread. I just love how my table gets full of shrapnel. It just feels like I'm doing something. I just love that part. All right, so what I did is I just looped that in and I just basically stitched that on with a loop stitch. And I'm gonna do one more. Basically, I'm just making a loop and then securing it. So now that is on there really well. And then I take through that hole that we created, I sew that down in and I push it down in. And that is how you put a little button on there. Isn't that fun? And then I pull it up just slightly like that. And for extra security, I always put a little dab, a nice generous glue dab in there. And then I sink that shank back down into that hole with the glue. And then it'll never move basically. It'll be there forever. But we want to make things that last. And then just turn it over, and now that the shank is in there, you really don't have to worry about sewing the shank. And it's secured with that thread. Now I just stitch all the way, like a couple of lock stitches. And the fun part about this button, and this is what I love about when they have little sew through areas, I then go back up through here, through the little holes, and I secure it. And this is an awesome place to put color as well. You can put a little seed bead in these little teeny pockets. You can do all kinds of things. I put pearls, I put seed beads, lots of different things you can do with those little sew-throughs. And it just gives it that extra security. And then I'm just gonna lock that stitch. All right, we are locked in place. And re-knot this because we're gonna be putting the clip on. All right, so now what I like to do is I wanna make sure that we've got all this area back here fully glued. So I'll go all the way around and capture any area that needs a little help. So happy. Now we're going to turn that over And we're going to take this netting lace, and I like to decorate the little backing because I like my veils to look pretty inside and out, and I like my fascinators to be beautiful inside and out as well. So we're going to put a nice little bead of glue all the way around, and you can do anything back there. You can just do the felt if you want, but this is sort of my signature. So that kind of makes it decorative. And now you're going to take and put a bead of glue here. And on the decorative side, you're going to place that clip. And then what I do is I hold it open and then I sew right underneath that little clip there. So I'm sewing the teeth area. And when I'm sewing this, I go all the way to the tip so it doesn't come off. And if you just put glue on there, it will come off over time. So this just gives it that extra security and it won't come off. And flip. And what's so great about these, I've heard brides who bought my fascinators like this, they wear them for their 1-year anniversary. I just think that's such a great idea. I was like, oh, I love it. What we're going to do is we're going to glue that on there. And I use the small bottle of fabric tack and I fill it with the big bottle. The small bottle is like a little tool in my hand. The big bottle doesn't work as well for me because it takes so long for the glue to come down and it's just harder. That makes it a lot easier for me. All right, and that just covers up that other little round circle that we had. And then this finishes it off. All right, and then what I do to finish it even further, a little signature of mine is to add a little pearl back there or crystal. And I'm gonna, you know what, we're gonna do crystal. One on each side. That's sort of my signature, you know, find your signature. I put one there and then I put one on the other side. That's my signature. All right, there's your flower. So wasn't that fun? It's so easy to make and it's impactful. You can dye them different colors. You can have some for your bridesmaids. There's just no limit to what you can do with these little flowers. If you would like to learn how to place this feathered flower with a beautiful birdcage veil in French netting or illusion, check out this playlist. See you later, veil makers.